Give love a chance. Miss Trapani. Most people said her last name like it was a curse, but Connell didn't, even though his family had been on the side of the law since they arrived on U.S. soil. Her family couldn't find the legal side with a map and a magnifying glass, not that they'd tried. Lieutenant Milani. They both paused on their separate ends of the phone line. She wasn't sure why. They just did. It was part of this thing they had going. If she could figure out what the thing was they had going, she could cut back on her chocolate therapy. Or not. It was such a freaking cliché to drown her sorrows in chocolate, but nothing else she'd tried worked like a good dose of chocolate. She closed her eyes, her hands clenched on the phone as she braced for what came next. I was wondering if you'd be free to come in for a chat this afternoon. When the chats started a couple of years back, Connell had offered to come to her apartment, but she'd said no. It was hard enough having him in her head, without having him in her apartment. And even if she wasn't in the family business, she was a Trapani. It didn't look good to have a cop car parked outside the place for too long. Chats at a police station were, oddly enough, not a problem for her family. It was expected that she be familiar with the inside of a police station. What time? Even if she wasn't free, it was better to agree. Connell had no problem sending a squad car for her. His little brother had a shiny new badge. Who better to practice on than a Trapani? When the call ended, abruptly of course, she turned to her assistant, Carol. Can you cover for me this afternoon? Carol looked worried, possibly because Anna went from the phone straight to the eclairs. Anna's "I'm fine" was understandably muffled. When she'd swallowed, she gave Carol a weak smile, explained the request, and added, I told you about my family. What she hadn't told Carol was that she was in love with the enemy. Anna had been in love with Connell since the first grade, but a Hatfield and a McCoy had a better chance of getting together than a Trapani and a Milani. You didn't tell me about this Milani. Carol crossed her arms over her chest. It was her truth time pose. Anna looked down at the eclair. It was preferable to Carol's all too perceptible gaze. There's nothing to tell. Except you're totally into him. Anna licked the chocolate off her finger. Not totally. I thought you said Trapanis are good liars. I'm an aberration. You ever been out with him? A Trapani out with a Milani? Stars would collide first. I've been under with him. Carol's eyes widened in shock. Well, under the slide with him. I was 9. He was 10. He'd kissed her. She liked it so much she kicked him. He'd laughed like he knew. That's it. Well, there was a New Year's dance in high school. We bumped into each other. He'd kissed her again, a much better one this time, and then he asked her if she was going to kick him. For the space of 2 heartbeats she'd stared at him and thought, he likes me. Then his date grabbed him, and her date grabbed her, and the evening went flat as a pancake. That was when she started serious chocolate therapy. She'd been a dabbler until then. Chocolate wasn't a perfect substitute for Connell's kisses, but it was more fun than an eating disorder. Of course, most things would be. And she'd been able to turn her obsession into a positive when she started her own business, Anna's Delights. Chocolates and pastries, Italian style. Recipes stolen by a long-dead Trapani, though she didn't put that in the advertising. Her dad claimed the only good business was one that laundered money, but it turned out a lot of people needed chocolate therapy too. The location in Old Town Spring was almost as therapeutic as her Delights. It had a folksy family charm that helped her forget how many holidays she'd spent visiting family in prison. Outside, spring was trying to get its game on, and shoppers were trying to help with shorts and tees. Her tree out front looked very zen, no leaves but some buds scattered on bare limbs. What's he look like? Connell? Carol nodded. Anna sighed. She shouldn't be thinking about how Connell looked. It was almost as dangerous to her well-being as actually seeing him. He's a better version of Pierce Brosnan. Black Irish. Blue eyes. Long and lean. Anna leaned her elbows on the glass countertop and let her brain off the leash. He's going to age well. His dad is still hot, with touches of gray. Was it okay to think a guy's dad was hot? Etiquette wasn't high on the list of Trapani family lessons. Enzo broke his nose in a fight once, so it's not perfectly straight, but you have to get really close to tell. He has great bones. And a perfect 10.